John's earliest memories were steeped in the chill of absolute order. The house was a museum of academic precision, every book aligned, every sound muted. His parents, both high-ranking figures in education, his father, a rigid high school principal, and his mother, a stoic university lecturer, had deemed his childhood a project in optimization. There was no room for spontaneity, no space for the messy, joyous chaos of a normal upbringing. To play was to be idle. To socialize was to be distracted. "Discipline is the engine of success, John," his father would state, eyes sharp, always finding a flaw in John's posture or silence. John's existence was a relentless, solitary march from the breakfast table to the study desk, the library, and back. But the real toxicity lay not in the rules, but in the blame. If his father experienced a professional setback, or if a major household expense arose, John became the cause. "Look at the expense of your education. It's all wasted," his father would lash out. "My life, my potential, it's been sacrificed for you." This accusation was not kept private. His father frequently lamented John's cost and burden to neighbors and relatives, etching a profound, crippling sense of guilt into the core of the boy's identity. John genuinely came to believe he was a drain on the world, a mistake that demanded endless, impossible reparation. Against this psychological siege, John's brilliant mind was his only sanctuary. He excelled effortlessly in subjects that relied on pure logic. He was a stellar student, the school's star, until the pressure became an entity too heavy to bear. The continuous mental assault, the pervasive fear that he would fail to justify his existence, eventually fractured his focus. When the crucial high school examination results arrived, they were merely adequate, a shadow of his true potential. It was the first, painful proof that his internal wiring had been damaged, leaving his future dimmed by trauma. The state university was a shock of color, noise, and independence. John, now 18, felt like an astronaut stepping onto a foreign planet. He studied finance, a subject he chose purely for its promise of security, the one thing his father had taught him to crave, and the one thing life had failed to provide. It was here he met Olivia. Olivia was a student of literature, a whirlwind of creative energy and unrestrained emotion. She saw the haunted silence in John and recognized the immense potential trapped beneath the layers of inherited fear. She didn't seek to fix him, but to show him the light of self-acceptance. For John, Olivia was a profound education in being human. "You're amazing, John," she would say, her eyes earnest. "You have to stop letting their ghost run your life." She coaxed him into tentative social outings, taught him the absurdity of his father's old rules, and helped him reconnect with his own desires. For the first time, John dared to dream of a future where his choices were his own. He was driven, productive, and miraculously happy. He committed himself entirely to Olivia, pouring into her the decades of pent-up love and trust he had never been allowed to give. She was his foundation. John's career path was clear, set for success, largely thanks to the disciplined framework his parents had instilled, now leveraged by Olivia's emotional support. But John was still relying on an external source for his worth. And Olivia, vibrant and ambitious, eventually tired of the quiet intensity and the lingering shadows of John's past. She met a financier, established and older, who offered instant, tangible certainty, the very security John was still building. The breakup was swift and brutal. "I can't wait for you to catch up, John," she confessed, her voice laced with practical finality. "This life, this instant comfort, it's just easier." Olivia's betrayal was worse than his father's critique. His father had damaged his potential. Olivia had destroyed his nascent hope. He was shattered.
convinced that his father had been right all along. He was unworthy, destined to be abandoned when his emotional cost exceeded his utility. The devastation should have ended him, but it didn't. Instead, the pain became John's fuel, a cold, unending energy source. He realized that the only thing that could survive abandonment was solvency. He vowed he would never again be in a position where the cost of being with him was too high. He graduated top of his class and plunged into the corporate world. His discipline, refined by trauma, made him terrifyingly efficient. He was relentless, working 15-hour days, mastering complex systems, and rising through the ranks of an investment firm at an unprecedented speed. He bought the best cars, the most luxurious apartment, and cultivated the image of unshakable professional success. He had built his new, logical fortress. It was here he met Amelia. Amelia was an executive in a related field, calm, collected, and independent. She was impressed by John's accomplishments and respected his quiet intensity. When John cautiously shared his traumatic past, the strict father, the broken first love, Amelia listened without judgment. She saw a man who had fought tooth and nail for his success. She offered him a steady partnership, a shared life based on mutual respect and stability, rather than the tumultuous, defining passion he'd shared with Olivia. They married, their life a picture of comfortable achievement. And soon, the impossible happened. Their daughter, Luna, was born. Luna was the sun rising over John's fortress. She was everything soft, innocent, and beautiful that John had been told he could not have. John made his third and most sacred vow. Luna would know only unconditional love. He spent every non-working hour with her, encouraging her laughter, celebrating her tiny, messy mistakes, and ensuring she never felt the cold isolation he had endured. He finally felt whole, validated not by a woman, but by the undeniable love for his child.
At the apex of his professional career, with his fortress complete, fate delivered its cruelest blow. John was diagnosed with a severe progressive autoimmune disease. It was a slow, debilitating descent. The physical pain soon made the long hours impossible. His focused, intense work ethic crumbled under the weight of chronic fatigue and agonizing flare-ups. Despite his attempts to manage remotely, the demands of his high-powered job were unforgiving. He was replaced. The loss of his job triggered the catastrophic cascade. The aggressive treatments were astronomical, draining their meticulously built savings. They sold the assets, moved out of their home, and faced the terrifying reality of mounting debt and chronic illness. John was fighting a two-front war, one for his life and one for his financial survival. During this terrible descent, John heard the ghost of his father loud and clear. "You waste all my money. You are a burden." The shame was paralyzing. He looked to Amelia for the strength and partnership she had promised. But Amelia, who had married stability and achievement, found herself staring into an abyss of hardship and failure. The constant strain of his illness, the smell of medicine, the financial stress, it was all too much for the practical, security-focused woman she was. She had married the conqueror, but she was abandoning the patient. One bitter winter morning, John woke up to silence. Amelia was gone. She had left a brief, clinical note. She needed to pursue a life of happiness and stability that John could no longer provide. She took her share of the remaining meager cash, leaving behind only 7-year-old Luna, sleeping innocently in her small bed, and John's medication. John sat there, utterly ruined. His body was failing, his bank account was empty, and every person he had ever trusted had ultimately chosen to save themselves at his expense. He was back where he started, abandoned, guilty, and entirely alone, with the sole responsibility of a child resting on his weak shoulders.
John was a shell of a man, physically and financially broken. He held Luna's hand, the familiar ache of abandonment overwhelming him. But this time, something fundamental was different. The well of tears was dry, replaced by a crystalline clarity. He looked at his life as an objective case study. His father's control had taught him discipline. Olivia's betrayal had taught him self-reliance. Amelia's departure had stripped away the final pretense that material success guarantees loyalty. He realized the irony. Everything designed to break him had, in fact, forged him. He was the anvil, battered and scarred, yet harder than the hammer that struck him. The only thing he truly possessed, the only thing that had survived every flood and fire, was his spirit. The motivational vow he made was simple. John would no longer chase external validation, but cultivate internal resilience. He accepted his condition. He could not return to his old life, but he could create a new one. Utilizing his deep knowledge of finance and his inherent intelligence, he began offering simple remote tutoring and financial consultation through online platforms. It was meager, painful work, but it was honest, and it gave him dignity. He focused fiercely on Luna. He refused to let the past define her future. He taught her how to play, how to be loud, how to question authority, and crucially, how to forgive, not for the sake of the people who left, but for the sake of her own peace. John's life never returned to luxury. He lived frugally, managing his illness day by day. Yet he achieved a state of peace that his younger, wealthier self could never have imagined. He found purpose in nurturing Luna, teaching her that resilience is the true currency of life. He became a quiet beacon in his community, not for his former success, but for his unyielding perseverance. He proved that even when stripped of health, wealth, and love, the human spirit, tempered by trauma, becomes the most powerful force in the universe. John's journey was the ultimate proof that true freedom isn't the absence of constraints, but the defiant courage to thrive within them. He was, finally and completely, the master of his own destiny.